For more than 20 years, CTV has captured the moments that matter in our community. From our studios in St. Clair, you're watching Focus with Paul Dingeman.
Welcome to another edition of the Focus program. My name is Paul Dingeman. Glad you are along. We've got some very interesting things happening in Marine City and St. Clair that we're going to tell you about today. Let's begin with a stop in Marine City, and we want to welcome back to the show Mary Beth Quinlan. Nice to see you. Welcome
Hi.
back to the Focus show. And Gary Mitchell, husband and wife from Gem Theatrics.
It's great to be
Nice
back,
see
Paul.
you.
Thanks.
This is the fourth time that you guys have come to the Snug and Riverbank in the last couple of years, and we're glad you're back.
Well, we're glad to be here. It's been we always have a great time here in Marine City, and the crowds that come out to our show are really enthusiastic, and we're glad to be here.
The one I specifically remember, because you came here and you were in costume, was when you played John Adams.
That's right.
And his wife.
Yes.
And the one and then you did a love letter show.
That's right.
Tell me what else you've done.
We did a show called Old Love by a Canadian playwright, and that was also very well received here. So we're thrilled to be back with an Irish show this time.
Okay, all right. And what's the origination of this show? Did you write it, or?
Oh no, it's by an Irish playwright named Christian O'Reilly, and he wrote it in 2014 for John Mahoney, who played the father on Frasier.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, and so
Great actor.
John was in Galway for the Galway Arts Festival, and Christian had written this play, and he said, I'm going to stick it under his door, and so he did. And a few weeks later, he got a call from John Mahoney. He said, I read your script on the plane home. I loved it. I want to do it. They did it in Chicago, and then they took it back to Ireland for the Galway Arts Festival in
I think so.
2014,
Yeah.
I think, yeah. And it's been done only a couple of times since, so we're kind of early on with it. It's a new play for us and kind of a new play for our audiences, too.
And pronounce the name of it again.
It's
Chapati.
Chapati.
Chapati. Is that Irish chapati, I guess?
No.
Mexican.
No, chapati is East Indian flatbread.
Okay.
And Gary's character has worked construction in London, and he ate a lot of Indian food while he was there and met up a little dog who was begging for food, and the two of them would share chapatis. So he brought his dog home to Dublin and named his dog Chapati.
Oh my God.
So it's the story of a lonely man with a dog and a lonely woman with 19 cats.
Oh my God.
Dan and Betty, and they've both suffered quite a bit of loss, but they handle it in different ways. Betty's very busy and very much a busybody, and Dan, not so much.
It's a show about re-energization. It's a show about getting over the problem of loss and difficulty, and the two characters handle it in different ways, but they meet at the veterinarians.
Oh my God!
And,
okay, very appropriate.
Well, Dan spends a lot of
19 cats. There a lot.
Yeah.
And Dan spends a lot of time at the vet because he doesn't have any place else to go. He's retired and he doesn't have a whole lot of friends. And they meet and they kind of hit it off, and dark Irish hijinks ensue.
So there's probably dark humor in it?
There's quite a bit of dark humor, and that was one of the reasons we were drawn to it, is we normally bring a more traditional romantic comedy here to the Snug, and we wanted something with a little bit darker element. It's still funny, it's still a comedy, and it's still warmly romantic, but it's got a little bit of that dark Irish way of looking at life.
And that's fun. That's
Yeah.
great.
Oh, it
There's a lot
is,
of
yeah.
great stuff in the dark Irish. It's running 2 weekends, June the 9th through the 11th and the 16th through the 18th. And of course, there's not a bad seat in the Snug.
Absolutely.
Oh, not
it's
at all.
a tremendous theater, and it's very close, and it's a lot of fun because we're very close to the audience.
Yes.
So did we run the? Oh, there's the times right there. Did we show the web page up there, fellas? What's the web page again?
It's riverbanktheater.com.
Riverbank Theater. There it is. And it's an easy site, and you can get your tickets right off of that.
Right, you can, yes.
And that's a really easy way to go about it.
Yeah.
So what else is happening in your lives? Have you got the whole summer planned with theater?
Well, we're doing the John Adams piece, My Dearest Friend, by Mary Crone at Hillsdale College in July. And Mary Beth is involved in stage managing a production of Importance of Being Earnest for the local Heritage Theater Group in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
And well, we're honored that you come over every once in a while and allow us to see your wonderful performances. It's been delightful to have you back to the Focus Show. Did we miss anything?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
We're just delighted to be here.
Yeah,
Tom and Kathy Verton are always treat us really well, and the patrons at the Snug are warm and enthusiastic. We're thrilled to be here.
And the next time you come back, you'll have a room in the new Inn on the Water.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's going to be, it's coming along so well, and the windows in and the siding's starting to go up pretty soon. And so it's a beautiful project of theirs.
Yeah.
They've done a great job for the community.
Yes, they have.
Yes.
And we thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
And
Paul.
Again, it's June the 9th, the 11th through the 11th, and June 16th through the 18th, and it's a good play, and it's at the Snug. You better get your tickets. Tickets are only $26 at either the Riverbank or the Snug, so make sure you get them and get them early. We'll be back with Paul Maxwell. This is Mitchell. There are too many in just a second, he's going to talk to us about the St. Clair Country Club as Golf Club's 100th anniversary. We'll be right back. There's a wonderful thing happening in St. Clair. It's called an anniversary for the St. Clair Golf Club. Mr. Paul Maxwell is here to tell us all about a wonderful organization formed 1917.
Yes, that's before both of us, Paul.
Just a couple hours before both of us.
Yes, sir. Paul, it's nice to be here again.
Thank you.
It's always nice to come back and see you.
Talk to me. It's how this time flies.
Well,
It's a great organization, and people don't realize that it's already 100 years old.
It is 100 years old. It's one of the oldest golf courses in the entire southeastern Michigan, and we're just happy to have the opportunity to celebrate this golf course. Business is a tough business to be in, but this year we're having a great year. We've got over 60 new members this year, and we want to invite people to come out and take a look at the club if they're interested at all.
Okay.
But the 100 years, we had a great celebration this Saturday that just passed. We had a bagpiper come up.
Oh, great.
And he piped up hole number 18, and we had over 200 people for dinner, had entertainment, and we had fireworks at the end of the night. So
wonderful.
it's a great time. The golf course is in great shape. We've got a lot of things that are going on there, and just a tremendous opportunity to be. And people have probably driven by it. You know, there's a rich tradition here, you know, having come out of the years when it was owned by Creighton Holden, St. Clair Inn. There's a lot of history. And if people are interested in this book, we have a few extra copies, not too many, but if you would call the golf club at 810-329-7300, they could see, we'll see if we can accommodate you with a book. There's a lot of historians. We're going to make one available to the local library.
Oh, great.
So, I mean, history, there's a lot of people, a great committee that was formed a couple years ago to put this together, and it was a lot of fun. I was on the committee putting this together. We had a number of people working hard on it, and history. If you come out to the club, we've got a lot of memorabilia from years gone by, all past presidents, all the past golfing members, past, you know, champions, going back to Whiffy
There's
Smith.
some great names.
And
great
it's
names.
just a wonderful thing, and you know, the history, the fruit trees on the course and why they're all there. So the book is really magnificent, and you know, it was over 2 years in the making. And one of our own members, I'm happy to say, Bob Baden, stepped up and became the author of the book. He did a tremendous amount of research in putting this together, and you know, the rest of us worked on it, but Bob really put it together. So great man, retired salt guy from St. Clair, did a great job as an accountant, but now he's also an accomplished author. But Jan Jackson did an awful lot of work taking pictures of everybody, taking pictures of historic golf cart, old scenes, old people. There's a lot of history with people that have been here for generations, 1, 2, and 3 generations there. So and many people I know drive by and say, I wonder what's going on there. Well, here's an opportunity, 100 years, to stop by and say hello or call the club, 329-7300 and stop in if you're interested in golf. We can accommodate you. We have social memberships. We have a wonderful swimming pool. A lot of activities going on there. Just great members.
Let me ask a couple questions. Who started it? And how did it get, what was the
Well,
germ
it was
of the
started by a
idea?
company, and I can't think of the gentleman's name, and I don't want to tell you something wrong.
Right.
But it started off as a 9-hole course.
Okay.
Okay, and that was in 17. In 1923, they brought in famed golf course designer Donald Ross.
Right.
And they spent, some money, and Donald Ross, who is a historic, famous golf designer, designed the course.
And it was 9 holes.
And well, at that time it went to 12 when Donald Ross came in 23, and then in 1981, after Creighton Holden,
18 holes, not 12.
well, it was 18 holes. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So from that, after Creighton Holden and the organization moved on, then there was local investors that bought the club, and they bought additional property and put an additional 5 holes in.
Okay.
So it changed the locations of some
Moved
holes,
some of the holes
moved them
around.
Then we built a new golf side subdivision where the beautiful
Right.
homes are now. So Jerry Matthews was the designer of those additional holes. So he complemented what Donald Ross had done. So now it's an 18 hole. It's completely private. It's a championship course. We've got GAM, Golf Association of Michigan, coming this year. We got the Ladies Championship. We got the Golf Association of Presidents coming this year in July. There's an association of about 100 people. I'm fortunate enough to be one of those that travel around Michigan. We go to 3 different golf courses. So there'll be 100 past presidents from all different golf courses coming here in July, spending some time with us. But we do have, right on the water, Paul, it's just a great location.
There was a fire sometime along there, too.
Well, actually, in our history, and that's all in the book, we had 2 fires
really?
at some point. And unfortunately, during one of the fires, we lost one of the employees.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
That's a real downtime in history. But it's all in the book. And, the book is just phenomenal. Putting a book together and working at all the history and bringing all the memorabilia together. We've had some great historians in our club over the years, and they've handed down things, done a tremendous job of recording history. So.
Well, it's great, and as you said, there'll be a copy of it available at the St. Clair Library soon. But the cover's beautiful, and this tree is so distinctive.
Yes, it is, and it is, and at 100 years now, of course, the logo's the same, but of course, it has the 100 years on it this year. So we're really happy. And Paul, if you could turn that around, you'll see some of the 2 original golf courses going back.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so it was sort of like a house.
Yes, starting out in 1917, it was a house through 34.
And then it burned down, and they built it.
35 through 1961, and 61 is when they had the most recent fire, when there was a loss of life there. So that was kind of a dark point. But again, the locals have come through. 20 members bought the club after the Holdens were through with it, and it's flourished and it's gone on. And I'm happy to say that we're at a high point. The economy was a little soft for a few years, but now we've got new people moving into the community, young people with children, and it's exciting.
Nice to see.
We have a beautiful swimming pool, so you can come out and get a social membership, which is really very reasonable, and come and enjoy fine dining. We have an excellent chef. We've got a great staff, got a great grounds crew. Things are really looking up.
And good times, good social, and golf
And that's
for
true.
everybody.
And at my age now, the golf is I'm not able to hit it like I used to, like you can hit it. But
Right.
I'm slowing down a little bit, but I'm finding there's a number of people that are in the same shape that I'm in. So we enjoy each other's company, and we have Men's Day, we have Women's Day. There's a lot of activity, a lot more. We have a social committee, so there's a lot of activity going on there.
Well, it's the St. Clair Country Club Golf Club. I can't want to say Country Club, but St. Clair Golf Club, because it's had a couple names over the years.
Yes, it has over the years.
But it started in 1917, and celebration this year with Bob Baden's book, his inaugural authoring of a book, and we thank you
Paul,
for telling us all about it, because it's certainly
great news.
It's been an important part of the community for us.
Well, it really is, and St. Clair is a rich community with a rich heritage, and this is just a small part of it, but we want to share that, so there'll be a copy available in the library.
Great.
So, thank you very much, Paul.
Next, we've got Deb Johnson from St. Clair County Community Mental Health will be along to bring us up to date what's happening with that great organization. We'll be back in just a second. We're back with a lady by the name of Deb Johnson. Welcome back to the Focus Show.
Thank you, Paul.
You
Good
look
to
great.
be back.
You look great.
Thank you.
Getting some sun. You've been out playing your little golf. We had Mr. Maxwell here.
Yes, playing a little golf and getting a little sun, so it's good.
That's good.
And, you know, I would recommend the St. Clair Golf Club, too.
Yes, I imagine.
I belong there.
That's right, that's right.
It's a great place to golf.
There's been some controversies, but some meetings. There's been some advocacy going on about a big issue. What is that issue?
That issue, it actually started a year ago, and I know that you remember when I was on here talking about,
Right.
they called it Section 298.
Right.
It was language that the governor originally put in his budget bill for the current fiscal year.
Slash.
It was to actually completely privatize the management of the public mental health funds, which is $2.6 billion for the state of Michigan. And he wanted to give it all to the Medicaid health plans. They are for-profit Medicaid health plans. So we advocated very strongly last year, and it's, you know, it's another good example of how advocacy works, because as a result of that, the language was taken out of that budget, and instead there was language that was put in to establish a statewide work group to assess the issue and give some recommendations to the legislature by, I think it was January, February this past year. Well, that happened. And there was a lot of good recommendations on ways to improve, not just improve the public system, healthcare system, behavioral healthcare, and physical healthcare, and integrated healthcare, which is really where we want to be. So there were these good recommendations, but in spite of those, some of the legislators kind of ignored the recommendations, it appears.
Well, what's new there?
I know. So, instead, in fact, the Senate specifically put language. It's called Section 234, which calls for the total privatization, again, of the funds, the management of the funds by the year 2020. In addition to that, that's completely disregarding the recommendations, because one of the recommendations was, let's try to pilot it somewhere and see if having all the funds held by a single entity, like whether it's the public mental health system or if it's the Medicaid health plans, if having a single funding management source really integrates care better. You know, I don't know that it does. So,
but that would seem fair that you'd
try something out,
right,
in a small part of the state, or a single county, or a couple
Whatever.
counties. And then actually, then there was also a proposal, and I believe it was the House bill, to try a statewide pilot. Well, you can't do a statewide pilot, because once you do that, you've dismantled the current system.
Right.
And if it doesn't work, it would be hard to put it back together
Right,
again.
right.
So anyway, so there are things that people can do to help us. And one of the things I want to point out is, in the public mental health system, we've spent about just a little in excess of $150,000 in political action committee funds to advocate, to lobby with our legislators. We use a firm in a 3-year period. In that same 3-year period, the Michigan Association of Health Plans spent $3.2 million lobbying the legislature, with some are specific single large contributions to specific campaigns, candidates, and so you can't even compete money-wise, what we have to what they have. They have way more money. But what we do have is voices. We have tons of people, the people that we serve, the vulnerable people in the state of Michigan, and the advocates that are all speaking very loudly, and people are sending letters regularly, emails, calls to their legislatures, and that's to the legislators, and that's what people can how people can help us.
How many people do you serve in St. Clair County on a month, a year?
In a year, about 4,000 people.
Amazing.
So, and we would still be a provider, but we would receive less money, because, you know, I think I might have showed this last time. It's a document, it's called Protecting Michigan's Most Vulnerable Citizens. And one of the things, too, that this document says is Michigan has been a leader in innovation in public mental health, behavioral health services across the country. And that's known when we go to national conferences. But so the Michigan system, the PHP system, is what actually manages this $2.6 billion right now. Their overhead rate is 6%. So that takes $156 million out of this, leaving the rest of that would be spent on care for the people. There's about 300,000 people in the state. Then on the for-profit side, their overhead is 15%, because they have to have money for their administration, for their profit sharing, for their marketing, for their risk reserves, et cetera. That would take $390 million out So that's a significant amount more out of the system that still has to serve 300,000 people.
So
that
somebody's
leaves
going to
us
suffer.
about over 200 million less dollars. So that's just like an easy way to look at it and say that's why that proposal doesn't make any sense from that level. There's a lot of other reasons too, but anyways, the way people can help us is on the St. Clair County Community Mental Health website. We have a tab and it's called Advocacy. You click on it and then it will take you to a link. And right now, if you just hit onto the link, it will help you send emails off to you.
Automatically.
Yeah, automatically. And you can do the same thing through our Facebook. We have it on there and the link is right in there and you can do the same thing.
Great.
So yeah, so those are things.
Well, it's important, and as you said, it started out a year and a half ago, where they were going to do drastic things, and you were going to sit down, and everybody was going to calm down, and everybody was going to talk about it, and you did all that, and now you've had those proposals, and they're discarding those.
Yeah. Yeah, people spend a lot of time, including I was on a state work group, and I went to Lansing
Right, you were going all the
times.
time.
Yeah. And there's 124 other people like me that did that and came up with this list of 70 recommendations. And that was kind of just like ignored and this language came out and we're like, where did that come from? So we're hoping that the legislators will listen to the voice of the people and not all the money that has been put into their campaigns by the for-profit entities that want this business.
Well, it's important, and I mean, you touch so many lives each and every day, and we got to support you and hope that things go the right direction.
Right, we hope so because we've talked about it before. We're providing care to some of the most vulnerable people in our community.
Right.
People with serious mental illness, substance use disorders, kids with autism, kids with severe emotional disturbances, substance use problems, people with intellectual disabilities, etc.
Tough job. On a positive or a happier note, the
Yes,
31st, and I don't believe that. I just cannot believe it's been 31 years already. 31st Annual Southside Coalition Music Fest, Sunday, July the 16th in Lincoln Park. That's the south end of
Port Huron.
Port Huron, right near Connor Street Pub.
Right near
just
there.
next door there. Live music, great food, and much, much more. And talk to me about that.
And the much more is we've partnered with them. When we moved our office main building into South Park area, we've partnered with the Southside Coalition, and we were somewhat partnered before, but not as much as since we've moved into the neighborhood. And so one of the things that Sandy Duffy, who's been a leader of the Southside Coalition really almost probably since its inception, 31 years, said he wanted to make it a little bit more. And so the more is healthcare resources. So we've had Lake Huron Medical Center there in the past. We're there with a table with information about behavioral health, substance use issues. Public health department has been there. People doing like blood pressure checks, giving information about heart health, diabetes, different things like that, and it's just some good giveaways. So there's resource. That's the and more.
And more. Speaking of opioids and things along those drugs, how's the battle coming? It's a day-to-day battle.
It is a day-to-day battle. And actually, I think June is Medication Safety Month also. Probably should have said something about that. And one of the things is, I guess, keeping prescription medications locked up, not sharing them with people, not giving them to other people. But prescription drug abuse is a huge problem in our community and actually across the country. And then when people can't get the prescriptions anymore, then they turn to things like heroin, which is readily available in our community and across our country for cheap. I think I remember when I was a kid, like reading or knowing about it. It was kind of expensive, I think, but now it's like $5, I guess. So that problem, and we provide treatment for that, and have been pretty successful with a number of people. But you have to wanna.
You gotta wanna quit,
and so we have some good services and treatment programs for individuals, but it's still a huge problem.
Well, get on your webpage and look www.SCCCMH.org and get more information about helping contact your legislature.
And our Facebook is just St. Clair County Community Mental Health, and it'll pop up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's about it for this edition of the world famous Focus program. Until next time, this is Paul Dingeman. See you soon.
Thanks for watching Focus with Paul Dingeman. Focus is produced at the CTV Community Television Studios in St. Clair. For over 20 years, CTV has captured the moments that matter to our community.